Welcome back everybody to Desktop Inventions, where I break down the hottest and latest in 3D printing news each week so you can keep up with the exciting developments. I know your time is valuable, so let's dive right in. Okay, first up, Adidas Climate Cool shoes are back on the news docket. So previously we talked about Adidas launching its Climate Cool 3D printed shoes back in April. So they had done a global launch at select stores with shoes starting out at $140. So previously they took the same approach as many others with a pure 3D printed shoes with no other materials. But that style of shoe is a slip-on shoe which always has a compromise in comfort and fit. But its advantage is the convenience. So I think Adidas is listening to customer feedback and now they're launching a version with shoelaces. Of course, if shoelaces have been the golden standard for the previous hundreds of years, they're not going to be so easy to get rid of and replace. So now with the new design, the shoelaces and the tongue of the shoe are both alternate materials which are not 3D printed. You can now order these shoes on Adidas's website, however it looks like they're sold out on most of the standard sizes, which means the sales must be good. From the reviews I've seen online, people say these shoes are super lightweight. With their open design, they breathe really well, and they are surprisingly durable. But with this open design, you shouldn't wear these shoes outside in the rain or walk through puddles because your feet will get wet. I'm excited to see how well these Adidas 3D printed shoes are taking off because I think 3D printing is going to have a big place in the shoe industry in the future. I am definitely going to be getting my first pair of 3D printed shoes in the next 12 months or sooner. How about you? Does anyone in the comment section already have and already using 3D printed shoes? Alright, next up we got some new 3D printing industry data from Context about 3D printer shipments in the first quarter of 2025. So this industry data covers everything from consumer or entry-level printers, defined as printers less than $2,500, all the way up to industrial level printers, which are greater than $100,000. I did pick out a few interesting pieces of information, and I whipped up a few quick graphs to show that, so let's go and take a quick look. So here's a few interesting data points we ran across. Overall, the 3D printing industry is growing, but here is showing how much the industry has changed year over year in the first quarter in the four different categories. So in the entry-level printers that are less than $2,500, that category had grown by 15%. But in the professional $2,500 to $20,000 range, the shipments have shrunk by 4%. In the more expensive mid-range and industrial printers, the shipments have actually shrunken quite a bit. So now let's look at the data from the entry-level printer shipments by geography. Not surprising here that 95% of the shipments are coming from China, and 5% are the rest of the world. And that might as well say 5% are from Prusa and 95% are from China. Another interesting data point we got here is Bambu Labs has grown 64% in the first quarter year over year, while Creality has been basically flat or shrunk 3% year over year. But when we take a look at the overall market share by printer brand, Creality has an enormous 39% market share, leaving 61% to all of the other brands combined. So I think Creality is far in the lead, while I didn't get a breakout of how much percentage market share all the other brands actually take up. So one other interesting data point looking at the professional level printers in the range of $2,500 to $20,000, while the overall category had shrunk, we can see the FDM printers in this category had shrunk dramatically. And I think what's happening here is most of the people buying FDM printers are settling for entry-level printers that are good enough. People and companies are buying Bambu Labs printers instead of $10,000 or $15,000 FDM printers. But we can see high-quality resin printers in this space is actually growing. So companies or professionals buying printers in this price range are seeing the value of spending more money versus these standard entry-level resin printers. Okay, next up, let's dive into some 3D printing construction insight. So I've recently ran across Jarrett Gross on YouTube, and he is a great content creator and an enthusiast in the 3D printing construction world. Jarrett travels around the world looking for new 3D printed automated construction projects, and it's his goal to document the growth in the booming new industry. He's been following and doing deep dives on some of the construction projects I've covered on this channel previously, such as Icon 3D with their 3D printed houses, the 3D printed Walmart edition, and Fireproof 3D printed houses in LA. The difference is Jarrett is actually going to these construction sites with boots on the ground, which is just fascinating to see. This week I watched a lecture he did at Florida Atlantic University, and it was filled with great information about the details and challenges of this new growing industry. Watching this presentation, I realized how the 3D printing industry is still in its infancy and poised to have huge potential growth in the future due to its automated construction potential. And not to mention, the construction industry is huge, over trillions of dollars in market cap that is just ripe for disruption. There are many companies taking different approaches to solve the 3D printing challenges, but a single solution hasn't really won and taken over yet. One of the biggest challenges facing the industry today, which Jarrett covered, is a materials problem. 3D printed construction takes more cement than typical construction solutions, which is its main challenge in cost competitiveness. Typical construction material includes aggregate material, which are just small stones within the cement to increase its strength. But with 3D printing and feeding this material through a hose, you can't include large aggregate material in the 3D printing process, and you need more cement, which is the most expensive ingredient. So there's different companies experimenting with different solutions to try and solve this problem. So this was just one little nugget of information I got from Jarrett's presentation. If you're interested to do a deep, detailed review in the construction industry, I recommend checking out Jarrett on YouTube. I'll link his channel in the description down below. Okay, that's it for the main news topics. Now let's head over to the Printables and Thingiverse Prints of the Week. First up on the Printables Print of the Week is this 12-hole playable Ocarina made by Mikolas Zuza. So how awesome is it that we can 3D print out a playable musical instrument? I mean, this just blew my mind when I saw that this could be printed out. So I picked this really nice transparent blue PETG, and I think it looks pretty awesome. And the really cool thing about this is it's actually playable. I can't play anything yet because I have zero musical talent, but I'm trying to learn. So it also has this collar that's printed out that just slips on. So I did a couple different colors, and I think I liked the yellow one here. And it also comes with this really nice stand to hold and present it. So I think this is going to give me a lot of hours of fun and practice on a musical instrument. So if you're interested in something like this, I would highly recommend 3D printing this yourself. Probably not the same quality as a real ocarina, but at least it's something that can be played. Okay, next up I got this Wowstick electric screwdriver for Christmas, which is really nice and easy to use. But the bit holders that it came with were really not well designed, and the caps kept falling out of it and the bits would get lost, so I really didn't like the bit holder design. And that brings us to our Thingiverse 3D Print of the Week. So I looked through a bunch of different designs for these bit holders online, and this was about the best one that I found that I liked. So this one is nice because it holds all the bits, and it's also a base for your Wowstick to sit into and charge. But it wasn't quite working for me and scratching the itch that I had. So the main problem I had with this design was the base for the charging. It was designed to stick a charging cord up into here, but once you stuck the charging cord in there and you pushed the Wowstick in place, you didn't know if it was charging or if the charging cord had pushed out of the bottom. And additionally with that, you couldn't see the charging indicator light, which is on the bottom. I had actually added this hole myself, but there was no hole there to see if the Wowstick was actually charging. Another thing that was bugging me with the base that held all the bits, it held all the bits nicely, except there was 3 open slots here that were unused. This just bugged me quite a bit. And additionally with this Wowstick, there's a lot of bits that are super small and a lot of bits that look similar to each other. So I wanted them to be organized in a little bit better manner. So I decided to make a remix of this. So here's my remix design here. It's pretty similar to the original, but I did improve how the charging cord mounts into place. I added a plate here that can be pretty much universally adaptable to any charging cord you have. And now when you plug in the Wowstick, you can see, if you need to, there's an indicator light on the bottom. You can see if it's charging, but really you don't need to use the indicator light because with this cord properly fixed into place, every time you push it down into place, you'll know that your Wowstick is charging. And additionally, I did add icons here for all the different bit types. And of course, I put the bits that you're never going to use, like a pentastar or a tri-star design, in the back because we're not going to use those almost ever. One thing I also updated was I added 2 levels here, so it's just a little bit easier to grab your bits out when you need to use them. Okay, here's my new Wowstick holder, all loaded up with no empty spots. And just to give you an idea of why I think this holder is needed, look at this design here. This is a pentastar. So it's like a Torx, but it has 5 spokes versus a Torx design over here, which is also a star design with 6 spokes. It is extremely hard to see the difference between some of these different types of bits. So I think this bit holder is super helpful to organize and differentiate all these different styles. So I'll be posting this design on Thingiverse and Printables with a link in the description, so check it out there. And also, if you want to buy your own Wowstick, I've also got an affiliated link in the description. You can purchase that as well. Okay, that's it for 3D printing news this week. Other than Adidas's new laced up update, it's been a slower news week, so we got to dive into some new industry data and some construction information. As always, let me know if there's topics you want me to cover on the channel. Have a good week, happy printing, and we'll see you next time at Desktop Inventions. A special thanks to my growing list of Patreon members who help support the channel. New members this week are Lee Wong and Kevin Stewart. Thank you so much for helping and supporting the channel.